So I've seen the new Spider-Man film, made a review on it. On Twitter, I mentioned possibly doing a ranking video of all the Spider-Man films, all of them, including the 2 Venom movies. And that seemed to get people pretty interested. I need to preface this by saying that I don't hate any Spider-Man movie. I don't. I think every Spider-Man movie has some reason for it to be above like a 2.5 star rating, which means I therefore like every single Spider-Man. It's going to be a very interesting ranking to say the least. Judging by my shirt, you may be able to tell what film is not my least favorite Spider-Man film. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking of the Spider-Man films, including the 2 Venom movies. So there will be 11 movies in this ranking list. I don't have a Christmas hat, so we're just gonna have to make do with this red beanie. Let's go. Let's see what number 11 is.
And the problem is the amusement park films.
Who said that?
I don't think Venom is particularly great. Venom is sort of a problem film in the sense that it's like completely unsure of what it is. Half of it wants to be like kind of serious and taking the character in a way that's like not a complete joke. And then the other half, which is like the better half, which clearly Tom Hardy is having the most fun with, is the sort of kooky, silly, almost like The Mask, like Venom movie. And that's definitely what the second film sort of goes into. The first movie is just really, really boring. The best moments are clearly when Tom Hardy is going crazy and just doing whatever the fuck he wants. And so I'm happy that Sony sort of worked that out and just basically let Tom Hardy do whatever the fuck he wants with the next one. I would probably give the first Venom, if I had to rating out of 5, I would give Venom like a solid 2 out of 5. I mean, those 2 stars are mostly for Tom Hardy's performance, which is just that shit insane. Specifically the lobster scene. The lobster scene is like, or as I like to call it, Venom, Let There Be Cinema. Venom 2 is a movie that is just miles ahead of the first film. Here's a film that completely knows what it is. Here's a movie that is not over 2 hours long. For this kind of film that is so silly, so stupid, so insane, I wouldn't ask for anything more. It's perfect in that sense. I watched the movie for the first time yesterday, and so I was just absolutely baffled by how fluid the filmmaking was. Andy Serkis, who directed it, and Robbie Robertson, who did the cinematography, the guy that did a lot of Tarantino films, like the actual action sequences and the way the camera moves is just incredible. It's almost like Raimi-like, you know? There's not a single moment in the movie where the camera is like standstill and boring. And it feels like a comic book kind of come to life in all the best and worst ways a comic book could ever come to life. Tom Hardy's performance is just, like I said, like the original, it's insane, but at least this time it's kind of backed up by like a story that is ridiculous. This sort of scene, like the rave scene where Venom says he's coming out of the Eddie closet, it's fucking crazy. If I had to give Venom Let There Be Carnage a rating out of 5, I would probably give it a 3 out of 5. I like it a lot, but the other Spider-Man films I think are a bit better.
Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
Spider-Man Far From Home is a good little Spider-Man movie. It's a wonderful little holiday vacation movie. I like Mysterio a lot. I love the sort of tone of this film. Like I said in the No Way Home review, I think it's the funniest Marvel film and also the funniest Spider-Man movie. Unfortunately, I also think it loses its steam a lot towards the third act. It overstays its welcome quite a bit. And there's also a few moments that are just incredibly un-Spider-Man-y. And so for those reasons, it's sort of like, it's hard to rate this higher on the list, considering the brilliant movies that are coming up. I also feel that for a third act involving Mysterio, I think it's a very disappointing one. It definitely like peaks when you get that super trippy Mysterio sequence just before the third act at the end of the second. It's kind of disappointing to see that and then to have the third act be just a big explosions with grey drones on a bridge. I'm really happy that No Way Home improves on that. There's just a lot of grey in this movie. It's not very nice to look at, especially compared to Homecoming and No Way Home. If I had to give this film a rating out of 5, it's a 3.5 out of 5. It's very boring. A lot of these movies are at 3.5s or 4s, so I'm sorry, spoiler alert. So this is where the ranking video gets a bit interesting. What are we on? I should really know what we're up to in the rankings here. Let me have a look on Letterboxd because I have this list written down. I'm not just winging it.
And I will do it for you.
I really like this movie. I don't think it holds up as much as I thought it did. I watched it again the other day and it definitely falters when it becomes, and I know how stupid this sounds, when it becomes a Spider-Man movie. Before then, I think it's actually rather good. I think it's great, actually. I think until the bridge scene, right, with the lizard, the movie is like a 4.5 out of 5. And then it just completely drops when the lizard really becomes a major player because he's kind of underdeveloped once he turns into the character. I think if you gave him a family of some kind, there definitely would have been a bit more humanity to him. But even then, I think the filmmaking is excellent. The camera is always moving. Mark Webb has a really unique eye for sort of like very Spidey moments. Like even in the high school, like that whole high school sequence is excellent. I love Andrew Garfield's performance. I love his Spider-Man. In my opinion, he's the best Spider-Man. All in all, it's a movie that kind of just loses its steam around the midpoint of the movie. And that's super disappointing because the first hour and a bit is excellent. And then it just sort of really falters off with a great third act. It's just sort of that middle portion. It's all right. The sequel's even better. I really like the sequel. So if I had to give The Amazing Spider-Man a ranking out of 5, I would give it a 3.5. But, you know, who knows? In a few years, I could actually say that Venom is better than The Amazing Spider-Man. Who knows what the future holds? Okay, this is gonna get me in some very hot fucking water, and I'm gonna lose a lot of Raimi fans here, but just please, I beg you, just hold on. Hold on.
Now take on this.
Photography, it's not just about, no offense, flagpoles, whatever. It's about lighting, composition, drama.
I have to say, I like this movie a lot, right? It's nowhere near as good as Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1, but no one will ever say that at all. It has a really great sort of theme at its heart, and the filmmaking is excellent. Just has a lot of pretty useless shit in there. Like the whole Harry amnesia storyline is dumb, especially when you have, you know, a character that you built up for kind of 2 movies to, you know, lose him for 25 minutes to an amnesia storyline is silly to say the least, and definitely sort of makes the movie feel a bit more rushed than I think it could have. While I don't necessarily think the too many villains argument is a thing at all, considering they all work into the theme perfectly, I'd be kidding myself if I said if you cut 10 minutes out of this thing, it wouldn't be a bit better. I love Tobey's performance. Even when he's emo Peter, I think it's fucking wonderful. There's so many great memes in this movie. Topher Grace is excellent as well. I think he was criminally underrated as Venom, considering this Venom was not at all trying to be a cocky sort of, you know, tough guy. He was more like the inverse of Peter Parker in these movies. So he's kind of a loser that suddenly gets these powers and becomes evil instead of becoming a good person. So I really like that change from the comic books. I think it actually works rather well here. All in all, Spider-Man 3, I still think is a really great little movie. Spider-Man 3, if I had to rate it out of 5, it's a 4 out of 5.
Now take on this. Start? I don't feel so good.
See you, chump.
In number 6, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. I think this is a really great movie. I think this is a wonderful Spider-Man film. I think it's an even better sort of coming of age, teenage comedy. Tom Holland is so fun. Tone is excellent. I love everything in the first like hour and a bit. I think it loses its footing a tiny little bit when Tony Stark starts coming in a little earlier than you want and starts staying a bit longer than you want. But they pull him out rather quickly and everything goes back to the sort of Peter Parker Spider-Man story. I love Michael Keaton's Vulture. He is just so like evil and like scary. He's great. I love the Queens sequence. Everything in Queens is like perfect. It's everything I wanted from like these sort of films. And I'm really excited to see where No Way Home after No Way Home rather, where the universe takes Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I was watching it last night. I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it. Just a really great little movie. Just really great. Filmmaking's excellent. I love the bit at the Washington Monument when like he's swinging and trying to break the window and the camera sort of goes with him as he tries to swing. That's like really subtle little moments like that kind of make the movie to me. I love this bit as well when his web shooter flings out and he has to grab it and he's like extended on the building. It's great. I think that the movie really understands Spider-Man and Peter Parker and what makes them these perfect counterparts to each other in a way. That sequence where Peter Parker has to sort of lift up the building, the rubble, and he's sort of telling himself, like, come on, Spider-Man, come on, Spider-Man. It's great. And it's a perfect sort of summary of what, the 16-year-old, 15-year-old version of Spider-Man is. He's a guy that is trying to, bite off more than he can chew, trying to play with the big boys, but ultimately realizing that his place is kind of on the ground. It's a little disappointing that Infinity War comes along and kind of, in my opinion, kind of ruins the character arc that Peter Parker has in this movie, where he turns down the Iron Spider suit at the end. It's kind of ruined when a movie later he gets the Iron Spider suit and goes off and fights fucking aliens. And then it's even more ruined when Far From Home comes around and he gets the Tony Stark plane and has to build his own suit on the plane and all of that fucking shit.
Thank you, Mr. Stark. But I'm good. I mean, I'd rather just stay on the ground for a little while. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Stark? I don't feel so good.
It's a great movie alone that is retroactively kind of let down. But I think No Way Home fixes a lot of the problems that arise from those other films. So therefore, Spider-Man Homecoming, quite good, very good even. I give it a 4 out of 5.
You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
Another controversial pick. What is going on? I realize that you can't really see this picture because it's so dark. But in number 5, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Or, as it's known in Australia, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Rise of Electro.
And I'm Spider-Man.
You're no Spider-Man! He's a Leo! You're a Sagittarius! You will Spectrum again! I'm gonna rip your well-groomed head off!
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is so much better than I remembered. It's great, man. It's a really emotional Spider-Man film. Andrew Garfield delivers just a really, really wonderful performance here. It's definitely in a weird way, it is like the darkest Spider-Man movie I think we've seen. The way the villains are all tied into sort of his mistake in some way is really interesting. Apart from the Rhino, who's just a fucking crazy Russian man. I am the Rhino. I love Paul Giamatti. I'm really upset he wasn't in No Way Home. Whatever. Electro is kind of lame, but I don't care. He looks cool. The Green Goblin is definitely like the main villain of the film. And I think they build him up rather well. Like, I think they develop Harry Osborn way better than I remember. Dane DeHaan's performance is like really evil in a different way to Willem Dafoe or James Franco. He's scary, man. And that third act is fucking grim. That moment where Gwen dies is still heartbreaking. It is still heartbreaking to see. Like, Andrew delivers such a powerful performance when she dies. It's fucking crazy. And seeing No Way Home and seeing what happens in that movie and how it sort of ties back into this one, it's just like, I don't know, it affected me in a way that I completely didn't expect. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 also has a ridiculously good score by Hans Zimmer, and I think Pharrell Williams actually did music for this as well. It's great. The Spider-Man theme is excellent. The Green Goblin theme is fantastic. And the Peter and Gwen sort of love motif is wonderful. Comparing this to Far From Home or Homecoming, the filmmaking on display is so good. And the way Spider-Man swings and the CGI and what they do with the costume and they give it the little wrinkles, it's fucking magnificent. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say other than I think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is great. I think it's criminally underrated. People that have this as their least favorite Spider-Man movie don't understand Spider-Man. And yeah, rewatch it. It's great. It's better than a lot of other Marvel films. If you put this in the MCU, it's probably in the top 10. If I had to give it a rating out of 5, it's a 4 out of 5. It's a 4 out of 5. Give me more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. He's great. He's the best. I love him. In number 4, we have the latest Spider-Man film, Spider-Man No Way Home. I made a review on Spider-Man No Way Home last week. All my thoughts are in there. It's a 20-minute long spoiler-filled review, so if you really want my in-depth thoughts on the film, go watch that. I think this is a perfect Spider-Man story. I think it's a beautiful movie that focuses on heart and emotion way more than I think the previous Tom Holland films did. I think that there is just an incredible love for the character that comes across in this film. The best Tom Holland performance as Spider-Man, in my opinion. The filmmaking is great. Bringing all, Tobey and Andrew and Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina back. Excellent. I'm really annoyed Paul Giamatti's not back, but, that's a discussion for another time. For my full thoughts, check out my review, but Spider-Man No Way Home, I give a 4.5 out of 5. Before we get to the top 3, I would just like to give a shout out to the sponsor for this week's video, thedailybugle.net, the Daily Bugle supplements. You can buy them on thedailybugle.net. They're great for multiversal villains. I got nothing. I came up with this joke and I have nothing to give a reason for the joke to exist. I just wanted to plug the Daily Bugle supplements, which was a great joke in No Way Home. And now it's an awful joke in this ranking video.
That is the dumbest idea you've ever had. You have had some doozies.
Blood pressure.
So in number 3, and this is going to aggravate some people, and that's okay. In number 3, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I love this movie. I cannot stress this enough, right? All 3 of the top 3 are on 5 stars, and I love them. So just it's like choosing between my favorite child. Like, I can't choose a favorite. They're all my favorites, but for the sake of the ranking, this is number 3. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is just a really, really, really beautiful film. The animation is out of fucking control. Like, I watched it again about a week ago. I cannot believe that it's a real film that exists, and the fact that it's won an Academy Award is also surreal. The portrayal of every character, including Miles and Peter Parker, is just excellent. It's a fantastic origin story from Miles, and it's just a really beautiful film about sort of being true to yourself, embracing the hero inside everyone. Brilliant soundtrack, wonderful score. I love Shameik Moore as Miles. I think he's great. And if they were to ever do sort of a live action Miles, I think he's a great actor to portray him, unless they want to make him younger, in which case, by all means, go ahead. I also love Nick Miller, aka Jake Johnson, as Peter B. Parker. He gives a fantastic performance, a really underrated performance in my opinion. The writing is also wonderful. Kingpin's a great little villain. I love the fact that they made Kingpin like an Italian, you guys, it's a freaking light show Spider-Man, you gotta love it. It's great, it's great. I cannot wait for the sequel, which is a part 1, and part 1's always excite me. I don't know, I'm a bit of a bitch like that. You show me a part 1, I'm there opening day. Yeah, I'm really keen to see where they take this sort of animated universe, because they kind of have a limitless potential. You know what I mean? They can do anything with this Spider-Man, and I'm rather excited to see what anything looks like. I give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 5 stars. I made a review on it a few years ago, so you can check that out as well. Beautiful movie, beautiful.
Not everyone is meant to make a difference, but for me, the choice to live an ordinary life is no longer an option.
I started this company. You know how much I sacrificed?
It's Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man. I love this film. It's a part of my life. It's a part of my childhood. I think it is one of the best superhero movies ever made. I think everything about it is perfect. I think the score is incredible. Danny Elfman did such a wonderful job with that. I think Tobey Maguire's performance is boyish and endearing. And everything I love about the sort of early 60s Spider-Man comics. I think Willem Dafoe is just one of the best villains ever, to the point where it's like kind of hard to see anyone ever portraying the Green Goblin in that sort of way ever again. And I don't think they will. I think the next Green Goblin, if they ever do that, I think is going to be radically different, and I'm really keen to see what they do. All in all, I mean, the filmmaking, Sam Raimi, like I said with Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Sam Raimi is a filmmaker that's always moving the camera. You know, something's always happening in the frame. It's never stagnant. It's never boring. There's never gray, concrete, you know, cinematography. It always looks nice. And every frame in this film is sort of stylized much like a comic book. You know, so everything sort of pops. And it's super subtle in a way that superhero movies really aren't now. They're rather big and loud, and this movie is so intimate.
The truth is, you don't know what you feel, except you know what kind of man you want to be.
The third act isn't like the end of the world or even the end of New York. It's like, you know, 12 people might die. It's pretty fucking low stakes for one of these sort of films. I'm so happy that this film exists, and yeah, I love it. I love it to pieces, man. I love it to pieces. And Willem Dafoe's memes, you know, I did the, you know, I'm something of a scientist myself the last time, but my other favorite is, no, you can't do this to me. Anyway, I picked this picture because it's really funny out of context. It looks like they're fucking. This is the second best Spider-Man movie. Out of 5, I give it a 5. It's perfect. Although, it's beaten by one film.
Raindrops keep falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit.
Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is still the best Spider-Man movie we've ever seen. It's so hard to wrap up my opinions on Spider-Man 2 because it is the film that I've seen probably the most in my life. It is a comfort movie to me. I go back to it at least twice a year. Just an incredible display of when you get the perfect script with the perfect director and the perfect sort of timing, right? It is just so subtle and beautiful and intimate. It is a really intimate superhero movie in a way that you never will see again, I don't think. Tobey Maguire's performance here is just like charming and heartbreaking. It's his endearing eyes. I said that in my No Way Home review. I said that his eyes are just super endearing and they let you into his soul. And I think he's just so good in this film. Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus is just one of the best castings, I think, like ever for anything. I can't get over sort of how funny and charming and heartbreaking and inspiring this movie is. You know, like Spider-Man 2 at its heart is about falling into a pattern with your hobby and your hobby becoming your job. And suddenly you hate that hobby because it is your job. The thing that you use to escape from reality is now your reality. And that's a really ballsy story to tell for a superhero film. And Sam Raimi just puts his fucking heart into this. It's an iconic film for a reason. It's without a doubt the best Spider-Man movie ever made. The train sequence, the raindrops keep falling on my head, one of the best ever made. It's my favorite Spider-Man film. If you haven't seen it in a minute, go back and rewatch it because I actually think it'll probably jump up to your favorite Spider-Man film as well.
Pizza time.
The problem is the amusement park films.
So thank you for watching the ranking video. There's so many Spider-Man films and there will always be Spider-Man films. So I'm very excited to keep sort of pumping them out and pumping reviews out. And yeah, so thank you guys for supporting the No Way Home review. That was great. I want to make a video on Suspiria in the new year and I'm very excited to release that. And I'm also excited to talk about Dune. So go to the movies, go this holiday season. Go see Dune, go see No Way Home, go support film. Safely, of course. And I hope you guys have a really happy and safe holiday, whatever you celebrate. And be safe out there. Be safe. And until the new year, bye-bye, enjoy. Go see Dune. I'll make a video on Dune. I'm very excited to talk about Dune. Go see No Way Home. Watch my videos. Subscribe. Get me to 100,000 fucking subscribers. I don't know. Goodbye. Bye.
I got that.
Bye.